This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and today we're going to look at the Samsung Galaxy S4 Active. As you might guess, it's almost identical to the Samsung Galaxy S4 as it turns out, and that's a good thing because some leaks, including an early leak that we got, suggested that it had a slower CPU. In truth, it does not. And what's special about this? It's not really rugged. You can't go kick it down the street. It's not going to survive that any better than a regular Galaxy S4. But it's water resistant. In fact, waterproof to 1 meter down for up to 30 minutes, and it's dust proof too, so of course we're going to be dunking it soon. So this is the Samsung Galaxy S4 Active. In the United States, it's available on AT&T for $199, so same price as the regular Samsung Galaxy S4 not active. Almost identical. Comes in zingy blue, which we have right here. Nice looking. This is still plastic. It kind of looks metallic, doesn't it? But it is still plastic. Wouldn't be Samsung if it wasn't at this point, huh? And it's also available in what they call urban gray. A little bit less exciting, but then again a little bit more staid for you guys who don't like those flashy colors. Of course, once you put a case on this, it's all over with anyway. It's going to look like whatever your case looks like. Speaking of cases, you're probably still going to want one if you're worried about damage protection. As I mentioned, this is certified for water and dust proofness. This is not a ruggedized phone. It's got some little end caps here. That's really, the rubber here is just for water sealing purposes. This is not a rugged phone. You cannot toss it. You cannot drop it without worrying that it might break. So in that respect, it's no better than the regular Samsung Galaxy S4. This is for those of you who come in contact with water with some alarming frequency or only just often enough to kind of ruin your day and destroy your phone. Like the Sony Xperia Z smartphone, this guy is good for up to immersion in 1 meter, that's 3 feet of water for up to 30 minutes. And it's also dust resistant. So for those of you who work outside and you tend to get rained on, say you're repairing sprinklers, any kind of water related work, that's good for you. For those of you who discovered that big phones pop out of pockets easily and will jump in the toilet bowl, also, this guy should be safe. Likewise, if you're playing at the pool party, it's okay, but keep in mind that pools generally are deeper than 3 feet, so you better recover it out of that pool real fast if it happens to fall in there, unless it's the kiddie pool. You're not giving up much in terms of the size of the device. This is almost identical in size to the regular Samsung Galaxy S4. The footprint is the same, it's just a hair thicker, just thick enough that cases really just won't quite go on unless you're talking about those gel cases. The buttons and stuff, well, they're all in the same position, and I'll show you. I have my regular Samsung Galaxy S4 and AT&T here in white. Even the speaker location is the same. Camera location is the same. Volume button, pretty much the same. Slight difference going on there, but they had to waterproof it. They changed the size just a little bit. Up top, our headphone jacks are right there. Microphone holes. This side right here, the power button again is just about in the same spot, such that if you had a stretchy rubbery case it probably would fit, but otherwise no. And on the bottom, the USB port is exposed on our regular Galaxy S4, and here it's under a rubber door to keep it waterproof. And you got another microphone down below. Now there's membranes over the microphone, and the headphone jack is isolated, so that's how you can still dunk it and not worry. For some reason, we're not sure why, the display technology has changed. Instead of the usual Samsung Super AMOLED display, you have a regular TFT display there. For those of you who find Super AMOLED a little too gaudy in terms of overly vibrant colors, that might not be a bad thing for you. It's also fairly viewable outdoors. The blacks are not quite as deep, but they're still pretty good. It's not a bad display at all. And it's the same full HD resolution, a 1920 by 1080 on here, so you've got a real high density 441 pixel display. One thing you'll notice is if you look at the front here, we just have a physical home button and capacitive buttons on our regular Galaxy S4, and here we have mechanical buttons. I suppose it was easier for them to seal. And another thing, when something is wet, this isn't the device's fault, but water also transmits, has capacitance, and you got a capacitive touchscreen here and touch buttons, and it kind of messes with things when it's wet in terms of responsiveness. So having these mechanical buttons guarantees that they're always going to work, even if your hands are wet and the screen is wet. In fact, this camera even has an underwater mode to enhance shooting there, and when you use that, it's going to warn you that the touchscreen won't be responsive, so you should use the hardware buttons to take a photo. How did they achieve the waterproofness other than having special little membranes all around all the controls and ports, just like the Sony Xperia Z again? The back door, which is removable, a little bit unusual for a waterproof device, has a rubber gasket, and I'll show you. There's a little grab point right over here, and you pull it off. And there we have what looks identical to the insides of the regular Samsung Galaxy S4. Same 2600 milliamp battery, same location for your micro SIM card slot and your micro SD card slot. Yes, this has expandable memory just like the Galaxy S4. You'll find all those specs are the same. And there's a little trace here for the rubber gasket to meet around that area. And if we take a look at the back, you can see that it's just plastic here, even though it looks like metal. And here's our rubber. It actually sticks up a bit to make for a good seal. So the tricky things is this guy's a little bit harder to get back on again compared to the regular Galaxy S4 where you can just start at one end. I find I have to kind of bow it because the top and the bottom have pokey prongs of plastic that stick out, so it's easier if you get the ends mated first and then you can press your sides in. And you do want to make sure that you've gotten it thoroughly clicked on here before you expose this to any water. If it's not sealed, then you're in danger of getting water damage. So now we're going to dunk this in a little water right over here. This is not here because I'm thirsty, and we're going to put a camera in first because we have the camera running and it's in aqua mode, and we've set it to use the volume key as the record key. We've made sure that everything is all sealed, our rubbers are all in place, and now I'm going to hit the and take a picture. And here are the pictures that we took. Again, they're not going to be anything much, but since we're not swimming around inside of a pool, and you can see that it picked up the flutes on the glass, but it took pictures just fine. It still survived. It's still working. The screen will not start working again until you take it out of aqua mode. First, you have to use one of the hardware buttons to get out of there because aqua mode just disables the screen altogether, the touch screen that is. But there it is, dripping here every once in a while. Working just fine. Now that we've had fun with that, I can tell you every other way except for the water resistance, dust resistance, these hardware buttons, TFT display instead of Super AMOLED, and the different resolution for the rear camera, you're looking at everything that's exactly the same as the Samsung Galaxy S4. So we're not going to go over this in excruciating detail. You already know what a Samsung Galaxy S4 is. We have all the software customizations. We have the enhanced level of widgets and settings over here with the 4 tabs. We've got side-by-side application functionality, all sorts of neat camera modes. It's all here. Now the camera itself is an 8 megapixel camera instead of a 13 megapixel camera. And we have a variety of modes here to choose from. As you can see, auto mode, beauty face, best photo mode, continuous shooting, best face, sound and shot, the drama mode, which is pretty cool, captures somebody as they're walking along, several frames of exposure there, HDR, eraser picture to get rid of folks who photobomb, night mode, of course that aqua mode. So all that stuff's here, 1080p video recording, all good. Now because it's 8 megapixel, this is more like the Samsung Galaxy S3 and the Galaxy Note 2 in terms of camera quality. It's pretty good, it's sharp, it's decent, but it's not going to wow you quite as much with a whole lot of detail. Also exposure, in dark settings you're going to see some noise, a little bit more than you would on the regular Galaxy S4. And outdoor settings particularly, you're going to notice a little bit less handling of dynamic contrast. That is a little bit more white out and a little bit loss of detail in the blacks. It's still a pretty nice camera, it's just not the super duper camera in the regular Galaxy S4. Likewise, your dialer is the same, your phone software, big keyboard right here, on-screen keypad rather. It's very easy to use, 5-inch display, you got plenty of room here. Call quality on this for incoming calls was quite good, even though there's got to be some kind of membrane covering both the earpiece inside and the microphones. Really, we didn't hear any degradation in volume or call quality. Outgoing call quality, a little bit less clarity there. Probably the film over the microphones is working a little bit of negative magic, shall we say. Not a bad phone, just not as super duper incredibly clear as the regular Samsung Galaxy S4. This is an AT&T phone, so you get all of AT&T's glorious bloatware installed. You got AT&T Drive here. We have a whole group of just more AT&T applications. You can ignore them if you want to, but most of them are not completely removable. You can get rid of the shortcuts here, of course, and customize the home screen as you see fit. Again, all the software is the same TouchWiz features that you've got on the regular Samsung Galaxy S4, your multi-page home screen, your easy customization. The launcher here that just superimposes over the desktop, and you've got your separate section just for downloads right there. And here we have all the standard Google applications installed. We've got Google+, Google Search, we have Chrome pre-installed on this. Navigation, everything you could ever want. And we also have the WebKit web browser, which Samsung keeps around so they can customize some features of the web browser. And with the WebKit web browser, here's all your functionality here, the usual stuff. Add shortcuts, add bookmarks, get desktop view, incognito, and all of your other settings, which are pretty basic. The phone can handle 1080p playback no problem. It's got the full HD display to show it off nicely, and this runs on the same Qualcomm Snapdragon 600 CPU clocked at 1.9 gigahertz with 2 gigs of RAM installed, 16 gigs of internal storage. And we'll try playing a movie trailer, see how that goes. And now we're at maximum volume. Not usually loud, but not too bad. Won't exactly blow the HTC One out of the water when it comes to audio quality from the built-in speaker, but it's not too bad. It's playing perfectly well. In terms of performance, you are looking at exactly the same thing as the regular Galaxy S4, and that's a good thing because that's a very fast phone. On Quadrant, we scored 12,500, for example. All of our benchmark numbers are the same as the S4, making this one of the fastest phones currently available running Android OS. It does run Android OS 4.2.2, just like the regular Galaxy S4. And battery life also identical to the S4. Not surprisingly, it has the same 2600 milliamp battery in here, and it's generally speaking easily good for a full day on a charge, even with moderate use, including some video streaming and other fun things that consume more power, and not just making a couple of calls and reading your email. So overall, if you need the waterproof features, you want that Galaxy S4, but or any Android high-end smartphone for that matter, but you got a little problem with water every once in a while, this would be the phone for you. Likewise for dust. Since the Sony Xperia Z is not available on any U.S. carrier, will be coming to T-Mobile. That would be your other choice for a waterproof high-end Android smartphone, but it won't be on AT&T. So right now on AT&T, this is your only choice, but it's not a bad phone at all. And again, it's pretty amazing they kept it so slim, so light, yet they gave this removable battery door here that is waterproof. So you're not stuck with a sealed inside kind of battery design. And it's actually not too bad looking. Pretty zingy color, but they have gray for you folks who like things understated. So that's our very clean Samsung Galaxy S4 Active. Takes a bath, keeps on ticking. Certainly, if you're worried about water exposure, you work outdoors in the rain, you tend to drop it in the toilet or wherever every once in a while, cook with wet hands, this is the version for you. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Visit our website for the full review, and don't forget to hit that like button.